They sat in their high-back thrones, scaled and plated, heads raised, nostrils flared in disdain. The Galactic War Council buzzed with low murmurs and guttural laughter as the message played once more, translated into dozens of dialects across the chamber. One human soldier will defend HFY. We need no more. Laughter erupted, sharp, clicking, growling. Generals, war masters, and tacticians of the Veltraxi Dominion had fought for centuries across hundreds of systems. They had incinerated colonies, dismantled alliances, and absorbed entire species into their ranks. The Terrans were latecomers, loud, fragile mammals whose bark outpaced their bite. Cowards by all proper military measure. General Threx stood, spines flexing outward. The chamber quieted instantly. His reputation didn't require volume. "Let it be written," he said, voice steady. "The humans have declined battle. They've chosen symbolism over strength. One soldier? Against an orbital incursion force?" He raised a clawed hand, gesturing toward the holographic image of HFY, desolate, mineral-rich, tactically minor. "They concede through theatrics. Cowardice in pure form." One of his lieutenants clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "They may be baiting us. They would need teeth for that," Threx replied coldly. The council approved deployment without debate. Overkill was the point. A full division, land, air, armor, would descend on the rock. No survivors, no exceptions. If humanity believed symbolism held power, they would be taught how easily symbols burned. Threx recorded a message to be sent back to Earth's High Command. His translator did the polishing, but the words were unmistakably his. "You insult the rights of war. You send not an army, nor a strike team, nor even a drone swarm. You send one. One. I will ensure your choice is immortalized. We will reduce your lone warrior to ash, and etch the footage into the walls of your ruined capital. We will show your children what happens when cowards mock conquerors." He didn't wait for a reply. Earth's diplomats were always slow to respond. Always deliberating, measuring, begging through subtext. That was the Terran way: indirect warfare, proxy skirmishes, negotiation cloaked in delay. They'd sent diplomats to a firefight and called it strategy. Now they sent a single soldier to a war front and called it defiance. The arrogance reeked of desperation. Within hours, preparations began. Dropships loaded, scout drones calibrated, air support queued in formation. Troop morale surged, not out of pride, but the anticipation of effortless victory. The humans had handed them a gift, a perfect opportunity to break the illusion of Terran resistance. One soldier. It became a running joke among the battalions. A betting pool was opened. Which squad would spot him first? Who would land the kill shot? How long would he last after initial contact? The average prediction was 2 minutes. Some said 3, hoping for drama. As Threx boarded the command vessel, his second-in-command asked what level of orbital support he required. "None," Threx said. "We won't need it." He looked once more at the planet in the viewport, dust gray, with no water systems or significant topography. No cities. No weather. No terrain that offered advantage. The Terran hadn't chosen the battlefield. The Dominion had. The Terran had simply shown up. Even if the human was enhanced, as some rumors whispered, he would fall. Enhancements could not substitute numbers. Precision could not outlast attrition. Threx smiled as the engines roared and the ships began their descent. Let this lone fool stand. Let him watch the sky tear open. Let him see what cowards cannot outrun. The first dropships landed without resistance. No anti-air, no jamming, no traps. HFY offered no welcome, no defense, nothing. A barren rock under a dull star. The landing teams moved with routine efficiency, armor gleaming, rifles armed, formation tight. Scanners swept the terrain. No targets. No signals. Just the desolate sprawl of an abandoned outpost and miles of exposed mineral fields. The command frequency repeated one directive: locate and neutralize the human combatant. One soldier. One heat signature. the most basic of missions. They found no heat. The outpost had signs of prior habitation: old Terran mining rigs, rusted containers, a collapsed radio tower, but nothing recent. Power cells were cold. The perimeter sensors registered no movement. The teams advanced, sweeping structures, scanning with infrared, LiDAR, motion detect. No enemy. No return fire. Then a squad failed to check in. Command sent a ping. No response. They dispatched a drone. The feed cut out mid-transmission. The drone was later found dismantled, its core fused from a precise energy strike. No trace of the squad. Bravo team moved to investigate. They reached the last known coordinates and found scattered gear, helmets, ammunition packs, sidearms, lying neatly in a row. There were no bodies. No blood. Nothing disturbed the dust. Command advised caution. Elite units were rerouted. Still no contact. By hour 3, 7 squads had gone missing. No signs of combat. No wreckage. No alarms. Silence. The kind of silence that wasn't natural, even in a dead zone. It clung to everything. Radios hissed softly in the background, filling the void. A corporal found something carved into a durasteel wall. Just 3 words in Terran script: leave this place. He was the next to vanish. Fear didn't show up in reports. It showed up in posture. In eyes darting too often. In fingers hovering a little too close to triggers. Whispers started. First about ambush tactics. Then about something moving in the shadows. A shadow that didn't leave footprints. A shadow that didn't show up on scans. An intercepted transmission confirmed a voice on the open channel. A single sentence, delivered in a calm, unhurried tone: you shouldn't have come. No origin source. No voiceprint match. The audio was clean, deliberate. The voice wasn't yelling. It wasn't taunting. It was stating a fact. Shortly after, 2 drop pods were found pried open from the outside. The occupants were gone. The hulls showed no breach alarms. No force was detected. Just silence again. A heavy weapons squad set up a kill box perimeter. They didn't report any threats. They also didn't report again. Their last logged message was 2 words: he's here. The phrase spread through comms faster than encryption protocols could filter. It didn't matter who said it first. Everyone believed it. Command increased patrols. Doubled surveillance. Triple-checked scans. Still no sightings. Just sudden gaps. Missing names. Unexplained comm failures. Once disciplined formations began fragmenting. Even hardened officers started keeping their visors on, even off-duty. No one wanted to sleep. Then came the rows of helmets. Lined perfectly outside the mess hall. 12 in all. Each one had been wiped clean. Each one had its comm unit removed. Someone had been inside the central base. Undetected. Unopposed. Confident. No alarms had triggered. No cameras recorded movement. Doors showed no forced entry. And yet, something had come and gone as it pleased. Panic wasn't spoken. It showed in behavior. Protocols were ignored. Weapons were fired at shadows. Orders were second-guessed. Officers argued. Authority began to erode. When the next transmission came through, it reached every channel. 4 words this time, spoken without urgency. I'm not hiding anymore. There were still no bodies. Only the quiet, growing certainty that they were not in control. The elite strike team deployed with no announcement. No fanfare. Just orders and silence. Their record was flawless. 12 successful eradication missions, 0 casualties. Specialists in containment, suppression, elimination. If the human existed, they would find him. No hesitation. No questions. They advanced in pairs, eyes scanning every ledge, every shadow. No chatter, only acknowledgments. The terrain offered no cover, but the tension made every corner feel like a trap. Every echo stretched too long. Every gust of dust felt deliberate. 17 minutes into the operation, contact was made. The first operative dropped with no warning. No sound. One blink, he was walking. The next, he was on the ground, throat crushed, sidearm gone. The kill was clean, surgical. No wasted motion. No chance to scream. The others tightened formation. Traps were expected, but not this. This was presence. Infrared lit up for a split second. Just a blur. Humanoid, fast. Moving between structures with inhuman precision. Fire was directed at the figure. It had already moved. A mine detonated under their rear line. Not one they brought. Their own equipment hadn't detected it. 4 dead. 1 wounded. Still no visual. Still no command interception. Still no signature to track. A soft click echoed from above. Not a weapon, footsteps. Not fast. Measured. Deliberate. The team spread into a fan formation, weapons raised, visors scanning every rooftop. Then the voice came. "You're not the first." It wasn't transmitted. It was local, audible. Spoken from somewhere close, almost too close. A second later, the unit's left flank was gone. Just silence where 5 soldiers had been. The commander initiated fallback. No arguments. They moved quickly, but the exits were blocked. Steel doors sealed. Lock overrides failed. Infrared blinked again. A figure walked into the open, arms relaxed at his sides. No armor. No tactical gear. Just matte black fabric. No insignia. No name. The team opened fire. Dozens of rounds. No hesitation. None hit. The figure was gone before the casings hit the ground. A moment later, the rear guard was ripped away. The commander switched to thermal. A flicker above. He raised his weapon. Too slow. A boot hit the ground behind him. Then a whisper. "One was all you deserved." A sharp crack. Neck broken. Instant. Only 2 operatives remained. They tried to flee. One tripped a laser line, triggering a ceiling collapse. The last sprinted through a side corridor, breathing ragged, muttering coordinates between clenched teeth. A hand reached out from the darkness and took his rifle. Not with violence. With ease. The human stepped into the light. No expression. No marks. Just eyes that didn't blink. The soldier froze. The man spoke again. "Mission complete." He placed a data chip into the operative's vest and turned away. The soldier didn't shoot. He couldn't. Back at command, the chip was decrypted. It contained footage, every kill, every ambush, every moment the human was in complete control. The last frame was a timestamp, 24 minutes total. The file was labeled Spectre. It wasn't a code name. It was designation. Project Spectre, terminated in official records, presumed incomplete. A failed Black Ops experiment. But he existed. And now he was active. No enhanced strength. No heavy armor. Just pure efficiency. Trained for asymmetrical warfare, psychological disruption, environmental manipulation. Designed to operate alone. Created for this exact scenario. One target. One planet. No backup. The strike team had been elite. But Spectre wasn't trained to survive the impossible. He was trained to be the reason it was impossible. Reports arrived slower. Not because transmissions were jammed, but because fewer were willing to speak. Squads that remained intact stayed stationary, ignoring orders to advance. Officers no longer pressed them. The chain of command hadn't broken, it had evaporated. What had started as a mission had turned into a ritual of attrition. No strategy. No sense of progress. Just survival. General Threx reviewed the remaining operational units. Over 70% unaccounted for. The few survivors that did report back offered no combat data. Just mutterings. One claimed he saw his own reflection blink before the Spectre moved. Another had locked himself inside a container module and severed his own comms, only emerging when power failed. Discipline fractured beneath the surface. Some soldiers abandoned their posts entirely, discarding their weapons and walking off into the dust. A few had to be restrained after attempting to board evac shuttles unauthorized. The Spectre had not only targeted their numbers, he had infected their minds. Threx authorized orbital sweeps. Targeted strikes on known patrol zones. He didn't care about friendly fire. There was no cohesion left to damage. When the dust cleared, nothing changed. No body. No trace. Units hit by the bombardments showed zero reduction in fear. They'd begun to believe the Spectre couldn't be killed by conventional means. One officer quietly requested permission to initiate retreat. Threx didn't respond. He didn't need to. The officer was found unconscious shortly after, head slammed into a bulkhead, weapon missing. Internal sensors detected no intruder. What unsettled Threx most wasn't the casualties. It was the lack of combat. No prolonged firefights. No damaged structures. No signs of struggle. Just absence of bodies, of morale, of purpose. The kind of precision that didn't imply improvisation, but planning. Method. Like this had all been rehearsed before they'd even landed. A low-priority recording surfaced during a systems check, security footage from a minor corridor near the supply module. No alarms had triggered. The camera had been active for less than 5 minutes. The image showed a lone figure walking through the center of the hall. No weapon drawn. No urgency. As if he belonged there. The file had been tagged, then buried. Someone on the inside had seen it, then chosen not to share it. Threx watched it 5 times. No tremble. No hesitation. The way the Spectre moved didn't suggest stealth. It suggested ownership. Word spread, despite the Council's attempts to contain it. Spectre wasn't a name anymore, it was a symbol. A placeholder for the enemy they couldn't explain. The ranks began calling him the Ghost of Earth. Not in mockery. In reverence. Fear dressed as legend. A myth formed in real time. The general convened the last of his command staff. Half were absent. Some dead. Some missing. The rest visibly worn. Eyes sunken, armor scratched, alert but defeated. Threx demanded predictions. No one gave numbers. They only asked a question: what if Spectre wasn't alone? Threx dismissed them all. Not because they were wrong, but because he couldn't answer. He studied the terrain maps. Reviewed thermal scans. Traced movements. None of it made sense. No one could move across those zones without detection. No one could disable entire units without triggering so much as a perimeter ping. Unless he wasn't moving between them. Unless he was already in all of them. That night, the entire western ridge lit up. Fires consumed the landing platforms. Ammunition stores detonated. Drone relays melted. No enemy was seen. No signal intercepted. Just a single data packet sent directly to the bridge. It contained coordinates. And a message. Stop looking. Start remembering. The shuttle touched down with no escort. No broadcast. No ceremony. Threx stepped onto the surface alone, armor sealed, weapons slung, eyes clear. He had reviewed every file, dismissed every advisor, silenced every distraction. There was no strategy left to revise. No formation to issue. No command to give. This wasn't a war anymore. It was a reckoning. He followed the coordinates without deviation. Across empty fields where legions once marched. Through corridors where voices once barked orders. Every path was untouched, yet marked by absence. Equipment left behind. Helmets placed in pairs. Rifles leaned gently against walls. Not discarded. Arranged. It wasn't sabotage. It was a message. The Spectre wasn't erasing the Dominion, he was cataloging it. The doors to the central relay were open. Not breached. Not forced. Just unlocked. A simple path inward. No traps. No obstacles. The Spectre had nothing more to prove. Threx entered alone, boots echoing with each step. Lights flickered overhead. Power remained functional, untouched. Nothing about the space felt abandoned. It felt observed. He stopped at the center. The terminal was active. A display showed logs, every squad deployment, every command issued, every casualty reported. It was sorted, filtered, tagged. Someone had accessed everything and reorganized it. The screen blinked. One file loaded automatically. It was his own voice. The broadcast he had sent at the start. "You insult the rights of war." He listened in silence. Every word returned unchanged. But they didn't land the same way. He wasn't being mocked. He was being reminded. "You were right," a voice said. Threx turned. The man stood a few meters away. No weapon visible. Same featureless uniform. Same unreadable face. The same figure from the footage. Real now. Unmistakably human. "You expected defiance. You got it." Threx raised his weapon without a word. "You won't win that way," the Spectre said. Calm. Not arrogant. Just certain. "I didn't come to win," Threx answered. The Spectre nodded once. "Then you understand." They moved at the same time. Threx fired. The Spectre closed the distance in one step. The rounds hit nothing. Not a blur. Not a shadow. Just absence. Threx's weapon was torn from his grip. A strike came next, clean, blunt, disabling. Not lethal. Threx fell to one knee, breath caught, limbs unresponsive. Pressure points. Precision. The kind of violence that didn't aim to kill, only to stop. The Spectre stepped back. "This wasn't punishment," he said. "It was memory." Threx struggled to rise. "You're just a man. I'm the consequence of 1,000 wars. Not just ours. Yours too. You think fear wins? No. It ends things." The terminal blinked again. Another log surfaced. A tactical overview. Dominion operations, entire networks compromised. The Spectre hadn't just dismantled the campaign. He'd exposed its architecture. Threx looked up. "You wanted us to see this? You needed to. And if we return? You won't." Threx laughed once, dry and low. "You think one man stops a war?" "No," the Spectre said. "I make them remember why they shouldn't start one." The lights dimmed. A transmission activated, broadcasting to every surviving vessel, every remaining squad, every open channel. It repeated one sentence, endlessly. "Leave. Now." Threx was carried out by his own evac crew 2 hours later. He gave no orders. He didn't speak until orbit. At the debrief, the Council demanded explanation. He offered none. Just a name. Not a myth. Not a soldier. A message delivered through silence, action, and precision. Spectre. And humanity's final answer. We don't need many. We only need one.